They told me that we don't let any outsiders see the shooting. So I felt bad, so I told my uncle, I want to see the shooting. They said, then you have to be an actor. Started my career with Mr. V. Shantaram. He was my guru, he is my creator. And my first picture with him was as a junior artist. And I was told I'm doing the role of a prince. So when I went there, they were to put 100 princes loafing around like a junior artist. When you're not successful commercially, then you latch on to criticism. Oh, I get such good reviews. Ajay never used to dance. He's dancing so well. You can see Ritik, Shahid Kapoor, Salman, Shah Rukh. They're doing so well. Amir. I am Jeetendra and you are watching BollywoodHungama.com.
One of the perks of being in Bollywood, especially in Bollywood journalism, is that you get to meet legends like Jeetendra Saab. It's a huge honor and privilege to have you on Bollywood Hungama.
Thank you.
It's really a great privilege the moment you just entered the room, and we've seen so many of your films and we've been dazzled by your persona and your song and dance and your histrionics. To just meet you is amazing. How do you feel, sir, that it's been such a grand journey for you, and you've been such a successful star, one of the stars who has been successful for many decades, in fact?
See, I started my career with Mr. V. Shantaram. He was my guru, he is my creator. I'm always indebted to him. My first picture with him was as a junior artist.
Right, 1959, I believe.
That was in 1962.
Okay.
1962 was Sehra. Okay. 59 was a very minuscule role. Right. That was Navrang. 58, 59, I think. So I wanted to see the shooting. They wouldn't let me see the shooting. Right. And my father's business was artificial jewelry. Yeah. We used to supply jewelry to the film industry. Right. So I used to carry them. So when I carried the jewelry to Shantaramji's shooting, they said, you give the ornaments, and they took the ornaments, imitation ornaments, and they went inside and made me wait out. And they told me that we don't let any outsiders see the shooting. So I felt bad, so I told my uncle, I want to see the shooting. They said, then you have to be an actor. And I was told I'm doing a role of a prince. So when I went there, they were to put 100 princes loafing around like a junior artist. It was a song with Mahipal in that picture, Navrang. So I was in Darbar, one of the royalties sitting. Of course, there were about 500 other royalties sitting. Absolute junior artist. But I did that. That was my first exposure to the shooting. Then Sehra was the second film where I was junior artist with monthly pay. I had to report every day. Like you punch your cards in mills. I used to punch my cards. Then my first film was Geet Gaya Patthron Ne, as a hero. So Shantaramji was one of the biggest things for me. I thought he is the end of this world as far as filmmakers go. The kind of films he made before that, I believe they were at that time, people used to talk about them in such superlatives you have no idea. Pictures they said were about 50 years ahead of their times. Admi, Padosi, Manus, so many Shahryar, Marathi and Hindi, they used to make these two bilingual pictures. So after Geet Gaya Patthron Ne, there was one film offered to me which was refused by all the heroes of the film industry at that time.
Farz.
That was Farz.
I think one of your finest films so far.
That is one of my most successful films.
मस्त बहारों का मैं आशिक मैं जो चाहे यार करूं चाहे गुलों के साए से खेलूं चाहे कली से प्यार करूं सारा जहां है मेरे लिए And I was banking on Shantaramji's boon jo ban gayi moti. ये किसने फूल फूल पे किया सिंगार है, ये कौन चित्रकार है, ये कौन चित्रकार, ये कौन चित्रकार है.
The most successful picture, I thought I'm only doing it for money. I did not think the picture would succeed at all. I didn't know what the fate would be like, to be very honest. But I was very confident about Bunjo Ban Gaye Moti, which was not such a big hit, but that first became a hit. Success is something which we don't know. You know, there are so many movies. I remember one of the biggest hits of Indian film industry. In the first week, they chopped off the scenes because the picture had not opened well. They cut off some scenes thinking that picture is lacking, you know, getting slow here, and this is not required. Eventually, they put all those things back, and that was Sholay.
Right. Yeah, that is true.
We people from the film industry, we see films and we see it more critically than like an audience.
1980s, that is the most successful phase of your, in terms of box office. You've done many films like a Himmat Wala and a Mawali and a Tofa.
In 1982, I produced a film which somebody else was producing, so I took over the project from him. I paid him extra money to take over the project, thinking I've got a jackpot. So I was making films for my father and my brother to help them out. And I made that film, which was one of the biggest disasters of my life. Deedare Yaar.
अल्लाह अल्लाह चांदनी से तराशा पतन अल्लाह अल्लाह.
To fill up that hole, I went to Madras in a big way because there I could organize my finances properly because they were always making pictures in the schedule. So I knew how much money would come with each film when. Otherwise, in Bombay, I used to work everybody used to work in 20 films, 25 films, which is not so today. They used to work in so many films because nobody knew which film is going to be completed when. So all the pictures used to progress slowly. Then the producers used to shoot for 5 days, then 2 months gap, then another 10 days gap, get money from people, show the rushes, then again get money. Film would take normally about 1.5 to 2 years. Sure. So you have to do so many films. But in Madras, they would make the film in one go. So I went to Madras. I stuck around there so that I could take care of my liabilities of Deedare Yaar.
That has been your best phase as well, commercially, if you talk about it. 83, 84.
I believed, and that is very true also. Right. When you make a remake of a Telugu hit, of course Tamil also, but Telugu is very close to Hindi. When you make a remake of a Telugu hit, it is generally a hit in Bombay. Because all the pictures in Telugu don't become hit. So when those hits, you make them in Hindi, you're sure of their success. And I was lucky enough to get those hits, which were done by 4-5 heroes there. It suited me, suited my producers, so I did all those films, and in a year's time I have to do about 8-9 films.
As you're talking about the critical aspects of it, that maybe people tend to maybe not like certain films critically, but it's ultimately the people who decide as to which film is going to be working or not. And I think most of your films, like Himmat Wala and a Tofa and a Mawali and all, the critics had not liked it at all, but the people, because of the pots and the pans and all those things, but the people loved it.
You will only enjoy criticism when you're very successful. When you're very successful commercially. When you're not successful commercially, then you latch on to criticism. Oh, I get such good reviews. So you have to. So when you're commercially very successful, people tend to bring you down. It's generally the case, I find. And with me, it was more so because I was little aloof with the press. In those days, we never used to have premieres, never used to show the film to the press much. I used to be shooting in Madras and the pictures used to be released in Bombay. I never came to Bombay for my releases also. So I got criticism from some people not liking the fact that I was not entertaining them. So they kept persisting, they kept doing their job, I kept doing my job.
If you look at that entire, I think, era, in fact, lots of dancers and colorful clothes and totally dhinchak music and lots of pots and all these things. We're seeing something of the similar sort in your film, The Dirty Picture, which is produced by your company, in fact. Your daughter is taking care of it. Now, when we see those songs, almost everyone is unanimously just loving the entire feel of the oranges and flowing oranges and the dancers and the colors and everything, in fact, the costumes. So how do you feel when you just look at that? Because that is an ode to the 1980s era.
और वैसे भी जब शराफत के कपड़े उतरते हैं तो सबसे ज्यादा मजा शरीफों को ही आता है.
Especially these songs that you're talking about, Tofa, Himmat Wala, its director Raghavendra Rao. He was a specialist in these kind of things. Matke, oranges, and kalse and all those things. He would make it like an item. And then he would work on it. Like earlier there was Mr. Ramanna. I did Waris, Hamjoli, Jawab with him. There's one song I did on a badminton court. I did one song in Waris, again Ramanna was the director. The whole song was picturized in a small Fiat car. Can you imagine such a crammed up space and with the full song in that? I find nowadays when they do songs, the dancing and songs, maybe they're trying, but I find them very similar.
Sure, बिल्कुल. In fact, dancing तो आपका style, I think आज भी लोग in fact copy करते हैं. In fact, when we saw, I think Tushar just dancing at the music launch on that particular song, Twinkle Twinkle, in fact, and the dancing steps were very similar to yours. It was a really a very grand moment. That typical जो left आपका पैर का यूं करना and यूं आना and all the entire thing.
No, all those steps, there's nothing done by me. It was my choreographer. I was as good or as bad as my choreographer.
But sir, there are millions of people who just love that thing.
I must say the dancers today, the boys today are great. They are really doing a fabulous job. I can't dream in my time I could have done that.
Who are your favorites in today's time, Jasa sir?
Oh, so many of them. You can see Ritik, Shahid Kapoor, Salman, Shahrukh. They're doing so well. Amir, they're all so fabulous. Ajay never used to dance. He's dancing so well.
Sir, at that point of time, as you were talking about the various items part of it in the song and dance routine, in fact, there was also this era of lots of actresses who were specializing in these kind of song and dances. Like a Disco Shanti was there, like a Silk Smitha was there. You worked with them as well. How important do you think they were to that era?
See, in Bombay, Helen G monopolized that. Helen G she was like a queen in those kind of things. But eventually she graduated into becoming more meatier roles she started getting in films. She used to be very busy here, so getting her into South was very difficult. So they used to get these other girls to do those items.
So how was the experience of working with someone like a Disco Shanti or a Silk Smitha as such?
Oh, they were very nice, they were very professional. And basically I find South Indians very, very professional people.
गली गली बात चली गली गली बात चली समझे सभी मुझे साली मुझसे जवानी न जाए संभाली हाँ
The producers, they know their job, they'll arrange their finances, the directors are so punctual, the actors, you won't believe, I was once talking to Mr. N.T. Ramarao. He was a big legend, big figure. So he used to get up in the morning at 2:30. 2:30 उठ के 2:30 get up in the morning, have your exercises, everything. Some mythological costume which takes about an hour or two. Put all that and be on the set for 7 o'clock shoot, ready at 6:45. So what happens when the main actor is so punctual, their whole line falls in place. So everything was very disciplined. So naturally when I used to work there, I enjoyed the system also. And then they were very particular. Evening 6 o'clock, the director would say start and leave the set and go. Now you do the shot, okay. A lot of time used to be wasted in Bombay because Bombay we used to have shift system. 7 to 2, 2 to 10. And 7 to 2 shift, nobody used to come before 10, 10:30. So half shift is gone there. By the time you finish your 2 o'clock shift, 7 to 2 shift, and you reach the other venue, you are already late by 2-3 hours there. So everywhere it was only traveling in Bombay. But in Madras, it used to be solid chunk of work, and they were making remakes, so it was very easy.
So it is also said about you that you were very sensible in terms of that you never really was too much into competition in the 80s primarily. You were at the top of the game. It was said that you were a threat to Mr. Bachchan as well in terms of popularity and all those things. And I read somewhere that you've said that Amitabh is number 1 to number 10 as such, when you did not want to be part of the rat race at that point of time. But the fact is that you had many successful films in 1980s in fact. At times do you feel that the fact that you did not want to be maybe just be blatantly competitive helped you in a way that you had far more successful films? You have had 200 films in total as such as an actor.
No, whatever I stated, I must have meant it. I just don't want, there was nothing see, if there was to promote yourself or your films, which a lot of people are doing so much today, then I would have come for my releases at least. I never came to Bombay for my releases. So it was a different ball game altogether, each one to himself. And the number game was not very important.